In this video, we'll examine another feature and function of the ASP.NET MVC framework that permits you to pass data from your controller into your view, and it's really designed for short-term storage. So if you have a piece of data or information that maybe you've packaged up inside of your controller and you need to pass it to your view for purposes outside of your standard view model. This will become more apparent as we get into later lectures, but a very simplistic way to look at this is you just have this one piece of information and you don't want to extend your view model, but you just want to be able to pass that data to the view. Now, there's actually a couple of mechanisms to do that, and one is kind of the upgrade of the other. But what we're looking specifically at is this is within our controller. If we go into a action, you can say this dot, and then there's the view bag, and then there's view data. And I just want to look at the IntelliSense information here for a moment to give you a better perspective. View bag is a property off of our controller base. So we're inheriting from controller for our home controller. One of the properties that comes along with that inheritance is view bag, and that view bag is of type dynamic. Now we'll dig into what a dynamic is in next week's lectures, but just for now, just know that that dynamic type gives us the flexibility to essentially do anything we want. The other option we have is a view data property, and that view data property is of type view data dictionary. Now, if you're familiar with a dictionary within a programming context, you know that typically a dictionary is a storage collection of key value pairs. And technically, the view data and the view bag work in much the same way. The only difference is the notation that you use to declare a view data versus a view bag value. So the view bag is probably the easiest to use. So it's view bag dot, and then we just give the name of the property that we want to use. In this case, we would want to go ahead and use, let's just say that this is, I don't know, the welcome greeting. I'm going to have to do that as one word. So just like a property off of a view bag, we just kind of dynamically declare that property. So we'll say welcome greeting, and we'll say hello, comma. Now, if we flip back to our view, which is our index.cshtml, from in here, we can then go here and we can do our @ for our razor syntax, and then we can just say viewBag dot welcome greeting. And what will happen here is that our viewBag value will actually get published or pushed into our view when it's sent up. Now, putting it up there at the top probably isn't the clearest way to do it, so why don't we go ahead, we'll drop this label, and then we'll do viewbag dot welcome greeting space model dot first name, and we'll drop the break, and we'll bring up model dot last name, so we'll have all on one line, welcome first name, or welcome comma first name last name. So we'll save that and we will run it. So now we can fill out our form. And now when we submit, we actually did not get our output. And the reason for that is because I actually put my view bag value in the wrong location. So let's go back to our controller, and let's go ahead and stop our debug. And this value, this line, actually will need to be as part of our postback because we're sending our model, which will include that first name, last name data, and then we'll set our view bag value here. So we'll move this down here, and we will jump back, and we'll say we need to rebuild. So F6, and then rerun F5. So now we will fill in the form again. and hit submit. And our space didn't seem to come through, but we do have the hello, comma, Kevin Gantos. So we can make some more adjustments to our view. If we need that space, we can do things like a NBSP, which is a no breaking line space. And the problem we're having here is that the ampersand is getting picked up by the Razor processor, and it thinks that this is part of the C# code. So to escape that, we will do @:, and you'll see that it lights up like HTML again. And we'll save that, and we will go back and refresh and hit continue. And now we have hello Kevin Gantos. Now it looks like we actually ended up with extra space in here, so this is one of those things you're gonna have to play with to really get what you're looking for. So we could put like some double space in here and save and refresh and see if we get the right formatting. Yeah, so it's it's one of those things that basically isn't perfect, but as you work with it, you'll kind of get the hang of what you're looking for. There we go. So that was an example of utilizing that view bag. So viewbag.welcomeGreeting. We can do the same thing by jumping into our controller. We'll stop our debug, and instead of using viewbag this time, I'm going to use this.viewData, and I'll say welcome greeting here and say hello. Now, whichever method you choose to use within the controller, you need to mimic that same method on the view side. And personally, I just don't like to type that much sometimes, so I'm just going to copy this line, jump over here into our view, and replace this viewbag.welcomeGreeting with viewData, square brackets, welcome greeting in quotes, hit save. I need to then F6 to rebuild, and then F5 to run. I'm going to go ahead and fill this out again. And that gives us hello exclamation point Steve Jobs, and pulls that data from the view bag, or in this case the view data property. So this tool will be used later on as we start to work to inject additional information into our view, specifically when we're working with the HTML helper that allows us to do drop-down lists. The idea, and we'll explain this in more detail, is that what we want to do is we want to package up or capture the drop-down list values that we want to then push to our view. But we don't necessarily want to make that part of our view model, because we're not interested so much in that data coming back to us from the drop-down list, each drop-down list option. Rather, we would just want to get back the selected item or selected value from the drop-down list. So the view bag is the perfect place to store that information, and we'll explore that next.